Hi guys, Ian from footballboots.co.uk here, and today, some of you are probably aware, the Magista is coming to the end of its 2-year cycle, and that means we're going to see a Magista 2. So we're going to see new Obras, new Opus, new Proximos, and everything else in the line. We'll talk a little bit more about that new release as soon as it happens, but right now let's go through all of the Magistas that we've seen so far, and specifically the Magista Obras. So the very first boot we saw was the World Cup edition. They came out just before the World Cup. They were the very first Flyknit boot, and they were worn at the World Cup. Great success. Mario Götze scored the winning goal in the World Cup final wearing the Magista Obra launch edition. So great start for the Obra. The second colorway that they brought out was more of a limited release. It was only in select retailers, and it was the first time that we saw the color fade go over the toes. So it had a vault to a kind of hyper punch, and then the rest of the boot was black. It's a pretty standout release, but there wasn't that many of those available. They weren't everywhere. The next one that came out was the Stealth Pack, and that was the second Stealth Pack from Nike, and it was a completely black boot, but it did have a vault trim on the collar. So it wasn't a complete blackout, it did have a little bit of vault trim on it, and a real classic standout boot, and a lot of people like those. Back with a bit more colour in autumn, or fall as the US call it, and it was the fall pack. That was the next release, and it was the hyper turquoise version of the Magista Obra, very stunning blue version. Following up that was Nike's Shine Through pack, and that was the white boot with a bit of the poison green on it. The next pair of Magistas we've got are the highlight pack ones, and these are mainly the poison green colour. That's come from the sole of the Shine Through pack, and there's also that orange which was on those, and that's been brought through into this colourway as well, and you can see it on the swoosh. After that, they moved into another one of these limited releases. It looked quite a lot like that original limited release, and it had the blue in it this time, fading into the vault, but still on a black background. After that, Nike brought out their Intense Heat pack, and that meant we saw a total orange, laser orange, Persian violet Magista Obra. It was pretty orange. Then we had the rough green one. That was another just a release for the Magista that wasn't involved in any of the packs. There was just the rough green Magistas, and it almost had a bit of a camo feel to it, but we'll get more onto camo boots later. Following on from that was the 2015 Academy pack. In the Academy pack, everything was completely black. All the boots in the pack were black, and yeah, just a completely black pair of Magistas, another classic looking boot. Following on from that was the Silver Storm pack, and they were pretty much wolf grey with a little hint of turquoise blue on them. Those boots were worn by Andres Iniesta of Barcelona as they clinched the treble of that year. And the next pair of boots that we saw were a women's pair. So that was the first women's pair of Magistas we'd seen, and they were made specifically for the Women's World Cup. They were part of the Women's World Cup pack, and they were a big success on pitch in Canada of 2015. The next men's edition were the Lightning Storm, and they used that little bit of turquoise that you'd seen on the Silver Storm pair, and the boot itself was pretty much all over turquoise. The next release from Nike was their Techcraft pack, and it drew inspiration from the Lightning Storm pack. It used that bit of turquoise blue, but these were the first leather Magistas we'd seen, and as part of the Techcraft pack they were mainly black with the turquoise blue making up the secondary colour. The next release were the Electro Flares, and they were in the dark citron with a bit of black and Volt thrown in there as well. Then came another pair of Techcraft boots, so leather again. This time it was on the canvas with the Volt joining in as another colorway. And following on to those were the Liquid Chrome. That had the metallic pewter as the main colorway, and yeah, it had a kind of metallic look to the colorway. We had the second women's pack for Nike Football, and they brought out a women's collection. It was called the Women's Soccer Collection. The boot Magista was predominantly black. Men's version, the next one out, were the Metal Flash pack, and they were the Hyper Grape, Fierce Purple, Green Glow, Metallic Silver pair. Pretty purple looking pair of boots. Following on from that, and it was Black History Month, and that meant that this time around Nike brought out a Magista Obra especially for Black History Month, and it had this very nice design over the top, and they were worn by PSG's Blaise Matuidi. The third and final pack with leather in the original series of Magista was the Techcraft 3 pack, and that was with the light bone. So it was this light bone, this kind of white color of leather, and then that was paired with black as well. The next release in men's was another white pack from Nike, but it had a lot of bright colors in it. It was the Radiant Reveal, and it had the white, pink, blast, volt, all these kind of colors blending together across the upper. Very nice, with a little kind of white spray effect over the top as well. Pretty stunning boot, very popular with people. Then there was the third and final women's Magista, and it was a really nice bright crimson. This was like a Radiant Reveal but women's version, and the pack itself was very nice. Didn't get a lot of coverage, but some of the boots in the pack were stunning. Followed up that Nike they did with the camo pack. Not a lot of players wore these, but they looked pretty good on pitch. and it just had kind of different kind of camo colors blended together on the upper, and that was a bit of a limited release. From there was also the anti-clog release. So the Magista was one of the few boots, well, one of the boots that got the anti-clog treatment. It just meant it had a different sole on it, good for wet and muddy pitches. And the upper itself was black. There was a bit of a bolt detail on the swoosh, and it had the anti-clog logo on the heel. And then there were the Spark Brilliance pair. These are the last of the original Magista 1s. Magista 2 will come out soon, and a lot of you recognize these from Euro 2016 and Copa America. Okay guys, I'm gonna go out and play some football, go enjoy my football. Please make sure you go do the same, and we'll be back soon telling you more about the Magista Obra 2. If you've got questions, please make sure you drop them in the comments below, and we'll let you know as much as we can there. Otherwise, stay tuned, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll tell you all about the Magista Obra 2, and be play testing it, reviewing it, all that kind of good stuff as soon as it comes out. All right, till next time, thanks.